Welcome in, episode 98. What's right with Nick Wright? After a great, listen, yesterday was not a great day of football, but it was a great evening of football. It is so nice in such a polarizing, trying times, seemingly tragedy after tragedy blotting the news, with the holidays coming up, that all of us have one part of our lives that we can rely on, which is if Patrick Mahomes is the nationally televised game, we can all as a country get together and collectively watch the greatest player to ever play show us once again why he's the greatest player to ever play. I said to DeMonze yesterday, you know how people, if they have traumatic childhoods, they block out memories? They just have big patches of time missing? I said to DeMonze yesterday, I don't even know how I was a football fan before Patrick Mahomes came into my life. I don't know how I dealt with Matt Castle and Brody Croyle, and even the Alex Smith and Trent Green years were decent, but you just knew that the hammer was coming at some point. Now, you are the hammer. Yep. Now, you get to be that guy. I got to tell you, rooting for Patrick Mahomes, 10 out of 10. Strongly recommend. Here is what is not on the show today. Not making the show today is Kyrie rejoining the Nets. Also, I don't think making the show today, Klay Thompson showing 41 and back-to-back good games, but yesterday's game was outstanding, and they needed all of it to beat the Rockets because they're not any good.
Right.
But Klay bouncing back is a great story.
Road win.
The Rams dropping to 3-7. Matt Stafford injured. The Rams are 2 weeks away from officially having the worst defense of a Super Bowl in NFL history. And that is a guarantee that it's coming. Do you know off the top of your head who the Rams play next week, by the way?
Maybe the Bills?
No, the Chiefs.
Okay.
They play the Chiefs, so that'll be nice. And then Team USA at 2 p.m. Eastern today on Fox plays Wales. If you're watching us live, it obviously hasn't happened yet. England just trounced Iran in the opening game today. Yesterday, Ecuador crushed Qatar in the opening game of the World Cup. We will cover the World Cup on this show. However, the U.S. Wales game, which is, if the U.S. wins that game, I see no scenario where they don't advance to the group stage. If they lose that game, they're starting off way behind the 8 ball. A draw would be okay, but a win, and you're in great shape. I'm predicting a 2-0, United States win. If you're listening to this, after the game's played, you'll see how I do. All right, DeMonze, let's get to it. What are we starting with today?
New week, same story, man. The Chiefs were down late and came back.
Yeah.
This week's victims, the L.A. Chargers, who scored a touchdown with 1:46 remaining.
Yeah.
Mahomes led a 75-yard drive, capped off with a touchdown from Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
He also increased his win streak in the months of November and December to 25 games.
Yeah.
He's also never lost a road game in his division, which is pretty crazy.
It's impossible, but go ahead. Yeah.
Did Mahomes officially lock up his standing to be MVP?
Oh, well, no. Listen, we're going to talk a lot about this game. The idea, I saw a lot of people saying that yesterday. Oh, the MVP race is over. Let me remind you about how the voters in the past have screwed this up. In 2020, Patrick Mahomes was the defending Super Bowl champion, defending Super Bowl MVP. Did not win MVP the year before because Lamar did. So it's not like voter fatigue. He'd only ever won one. They were the defending champs. He played 15 games. Didn't play the 16th game because they had everything locked up. He went 14-1, had 38 touchdowns and 6 picks, a 108 rating, and got 1 MVP vote. Aaron Rodgers won it. Josh Allen finished second. Mahomes finished third. So the idea that the voters come the end of December might not convince themselves, well, actually, it's Tua, or, well, actually, it's Jalen, or some other nonsense, that could happen. Now, MVP voting changed. Just on Friday, it got announced. Previously, what the NFL had done, 50 voters submit one name. Unlike the NBA, where you submit a ballot, 1 through 5. The NFL's changing it. where they are submitting a ballot now of 1 through 5 for MVP. Obviously, he's the MVP. Obviously, he's the best player in the league, but that doesn't mean he's going to win it. Go ahead.
Speaking of Tua,
Yeah.
we always get on your head for your takes that age badly.
Mm-hmm.
But you were spot on the last pod about getting on the Chiefs after the Chargers took the lead and getting them on the money line. So I'm giving you credit where it's due.
I told you guys on TV and on the pod, I told America, don't lay the 6. It started at 7, got all the way down to 4.5. Said, don't lay that with the Chiefs. Wait until they're trailing, and then bet them either minus less than a field goal or on the money line. I did both yesterday. I made 3 live Chief bets yesterday. I bet them minus 2.5 when they were down early.
Right.
Because now you only have to win by a field goal. I bet them at halftime plus 120 to win. And then I bet them right after the Chargers scored a touchdown at plus 170 when they were down, what would it be? Down 4 with 1:45 and 2 timeouts. So I bet them 3 times live in game. So we'll talk big picture in a moment, but about that game. People killed me because the Chiefs were up 3 after the Keenan Allen fumble.
Right.
And there was about 8 minutes left, and they're driving. And for me, obviously what you're rooting for there is a touchdown. Go up 10 in the game. But my worst case scenario in that spot was not a turnover. For me, the worst case scenario would have been a long drive that ends in a field goal,
right,
where you go up 6, there's like 3.5 to 4.5 minutes left, and it's just going to be the Chargers get the ball last. So the Chiefs then fumble, and the Chargers get the ball with 7 minutes left. And I tweeted, obviously I wanted a touchdown, but oddly, I prefer a turnover with 7 minutes than a field goal with 4 minutes. And the replies to that tweet, oh my God. People, so many memes, the crying guy with the mask on, tell me how this makes sense. But the logic was exactly what played out.
Right.
With 7 minutes left, Mahomes is getting the ball back. And if Mahomes is getting the ball back, we're going to win. The only thing I didn't want was the Chiefs to go up less than a full touchdown, take enough time off the clock, where the Chiefs defense, which played okay yesterday and is better this year than in years past, but I still don't fully trust that the game can end with Herbert just driving the field and with 20 seconds left scoring a touchdown to go up 1. The reason that I felt that way is the Chiefs with Mahomes do feel inevitable. So it's not just 25 straight in November and December, like you said. It's not just 24-3 his career in the division, which is absurd when you consider that division has had Phillip Rivers, Justin Herbert, Derek Carr, and of course the clown show that the Broncos have had at quarterback. But it's not like Brady going up against the AFC East forever in these terrible divisions.
Right.
It's supposed to be a good division with good quarterbacks. The 14-0 on the road is insane. But the more insane numbers are, Mahomes in his career, when trailing by 10 points, which he never did in this game, wins 60% of his games. Second best is Brady at 38%. Mahomes now, when trailing going into the fourth, is 9-6. 60% of his games, when trailing going into the fourth quarter, he wins. The next best quarterback, I just saw this tweet. The next best quarterback on that list is Jay Schroeder, who wins 35% of his games. So nobody in league history wins 36% of the time when trailing going into the fourth, except for Mahomes, who does it 60% of the time. If every game the Chiefs trailed going into the fourth quarter, with that win percentage, they'd still be a playoff team. It is the most remarkable trait any quarterback has ever had. And then you add this to it. Kelsey is the best tight end to ever live.
He got it's 3 straight games, not 3 straight games, but he's had such and such amount of games with 3+ touchdowns.
Oh, well, so this year...
I think he just broke a record last night.
Okay, so he might have. So he has 2 games this year with 3+ touchdowns. He has a 4-touchdown game against the Raiders, a 3-touchdown game against the Chargers. The record he broke last night was most career 100-yard games by a tight end. The record that in that single game parlay that I thought he was going to break when I bet him over 80.5. Also, no other tight end in NFL history has ever had 4 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. Kelce is 145 yards away from his 7th consecutive 1,000-yard season. So it is, I mean, he's 33 years old, by the way. And he did it yesterday against Derwin James, the best safety in the league, and a guy who historically has given Kelce some problems. But his final 3 catches were 3 touchdowns. All touchdowns, and they won them the game. And so you see these other quarterbacks, like 2-time defending MVP Aaron Rodgers, who loses Davante Adams and is in shambles all year. The Chiefs trade away Tyreek Hill. Mecole Hardman, injured for this game. Juju, injured for this game. Kadarius Toney, injured during this game. Who gives a damn? It doesn't matter. And that then brings us to this. Kent Swanson tweeted, the rest of the AFC West spent $1 billion to dethrone the Chiefs, and it's over by Thanksgiving. So the Raiders added Davante Adams and Chandler Jones and traded a 1st and a 2nd round pick. The Chargers added J.C. Jackson and Khalil Mack. The Broncos added Randy Gregory and Russell Wilson and traded, what was it, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and 3 players. Those 6 players got $580 million worth of contracts. The Chiefs let Tyrann Mathieu leave, traded away Tyreek Hill, got younger, got extra draft picks, got extra cap room moving forward. And they are right now to win the division, and we're not yet to Thanksgiving, minus 7,000. So you want to win $100 on the Chiefs to win the AFC West? All you got to do is lay $7,000 and you win a nice tidy $100. They're the biggest favorites of any team to win any division in the league. It was supposed to be the toughest division ever. And I'm going to add one other point. 32 teams left. If you rank them 1 through 32, as far as remaining strength of schedule, so the combined record of all their opponents, the hardest schedule remaining is the Giants. They have Philly, they have Washington a couple times, they have Dallas. The teams they're playing have a combined winning percentage of like 680. The easiest remaining schedule in the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs. So the benefit to playing 9 of your first 10 games against teams the previous year with a winning record is if you can get through at 8-2, it's smooth sailing the rest of the way. They are at Cincinnati. They are home for Seattle as their only games left against teams with a winning record. They have another game. The Chiefs remain, other than those 2 games, they have Houston, 2 against Denver, the Raiders, and one other game that I can't remember right now. They are running away. They are going to run away with the 1 seed, and it's not even going to be close. And so what's the one game I forgot? The Rams. The Rams this week.
Right.
The Rams, who are one of the 3 worst teams in football. The Texans, who are the worst team in football. The Broncos, 2 of them against them, who have the worst offense in football. And the Raiders in the final week of the year when the Chiefs will probably rest people. And then a tough game against Cincy and a tough-ish game at home against Seattle. Man, so many of my colleagues look like utter buffoons. Oh, the Chiefs are going to finish 3rd in the division. Oh, the Chiefs took a step back. Oh, the AFC West, the toughest division ever. Okay. Somebody told y'all. Somebody told y'all, and I'm not in. You know what? We can move on. Do you want to say anything?
No, I was just going to say a while ago, imagine if it would have been Kelce instead of Tyreek Hill.
That they traded away?
Yeah. Do you think that would have been do you think they would have been
I think that Kelce is more valuable to the Chiefs than Tyreek Hill.
100%. He fits the scheme more.
Well, also, I think he is so far and away better than every other tight end. You can't duplicate what he does.
Right.
He and Justin Jefferson, the two best receivers in football. And you can't duplicate what Tyreek does, but you can piecemeal some of it together. You get a super fast guy in Hardman. You know what I mean? You can get a shifty guy in Kadarius Toney. You can't do it with Kelce. Kelce, after Mahomes, is the second most important Chief. And third, by the way, is Chris Jones, who quietly has had the second best season of any defensive player in football behind only Micah Parsons.
Huh?
All right. By the way, poll question, is Kelce the greatest tight end ever? 66% say yes, 34% are wrong. Next.
All right, the Cowboys went into Minnesota and blew out the Vikings, lost me a bet.
Yeah.
Vegas may have known what they were talking about when they made Dallas a road favorite. Many people suspected that the Vikings weren't as good as their record portrayed, including you, obviously. Minnesota now has a negative point differential for the season. Was this a Minnesota market correction, or is Dallas a top 5 team?
When Dallas is rolling, they do look like a top 5 team.
Yeah, I gotta stop betting against them.
Yeah, that would be wise advice.
Yeah.
What do you think? Dallas at home on Thanksgiving against the Giants. What do you think the line is?
Plus 6.5.
Dallas.
I mean,
Dallas favored by 6.5.
Dallas minus 6.5.
Dallas by 7.5. So you're right. You're right in line. All right. So the Vikings and the Giants, by the way, are combined 15-5.
Okay.
And their combined point differential is -1. Those teams are not as good as their record suggests. Yeah. And also, by the way, a little more embarrassing for that loss for the old Buffalo Bills last week. Oh, you blow a 17-point lead against a team that then just gets 40-3. Right. That game, DeMonze, got taken off.
Yeah,
TV. Yeah. And do you know how bad a blowout has to be for the networks to take the Cowboys off TV in favor of Pittsburgh, Cincinnati? And they did it not like with 4 minutes left. They did it in the third quarter. They're like, this thing is over. Listen, Pollard looks awesome for Dallas.
Yeah.
That defense, after having a really poor showing against the Packers, is back to what it's been doing. And Micah Parsons was back to, not exclusively, but spending most of his time rushing the passer like he should have been, which is smart. And it was really exceptional job by the Cowboys. There's no way around it. If I'm doing the top 5 teams, this just be off the top of my head, the Chiefs and the Dolphins have to be on there. I think I have the Niners up there. I know their record doesn't demand it. The Eagles deserve to be right in there. And then the Cowboys would be right alongside the Ravens, the Bills. We'll see the Bengals, a few more questions there. Yeah, I mean, top 5, top 6. I got to be honest with you. We're going to talk a lot of Cowboys on the TV show today. I got to find something interesting to say about them because as good as they were yesterday, I don't have like a super hot or interesting Cowboys take. They kicked the crap out of the Vikings, and to me, it was more an indictment on the Vikings. I'd love to give the Cowboys a ton of credit, and they do deserve it for winning that game after the terrible Packers loss. It could have spiraled for them. It didn't. But to me, that was
on the road.
That was more about the Vikings. I understand the Vikings taking a exhaling after the win against Buffalo.
Right.
But that was such a no-show and such an embarrassing performance. It does make you wonder, the Vikings, if they're the 2 seed in the NFC, as they likely are going to be, and they're playing a home round 1 playoff game against, for instance, San Francisco, are you going to feel comfortable with the Vikings at all? I'm not. Sorry. I'm just not. All right, next.
The Niners too. All right, despite a win against Carolina on Sunday.
57% of the audience, by the way, I always forget to do this, says Dallas is not a top 5 team. And by the way, your questions or your comments, put them in the chat, and we'll get to them in the C block. All right, go ahead.
All right, despite a win against Carolina on Sunday, Lamar Jackson has cooled off considerably after a hot start to the season. At the end of September, you said that the Ravens made a mistake by not giving him that extension. Now it looks like that, or paying him the contract.
Yeah.
Now it's looking like they may have been right. Was Lamar's huge bet on himself misguided?
No, I don't think so. And it's not because Lamar's playing out of this world. It's because we all of a sudden, let's list the quarterbacks that we know are good. Okay? Quarterbacks that we know are good in no particular order. I'll just go through the standings, okay? I'll just go through division by division. AFC East. Josh Allen, and I'll include Tua. I don't yet know Tua is good, but let's include him because he's playing so great. Okay? We're at 2. In the AFC North, Joe Burrow. We'll include Deshaun Watson, even though he hasn't played football in 2 years. Okay? We're at 4. In the AFC South, Titans, Colts. I'd love to include Trevor. I can't yet. In my heart, he's included. Texans, no. AFC West, Mahomes, Herbert. Carr, not sure, and we know Russell Wilson isn't.
Right.
Okay? NFC East, Jalen Dak.
Yeah.
Okay? Daniel Jones, Heineke, obviously not.
Daniel.
NFC North, set Kirk Cousins over here. Okay? Aaron Rodgers, don't know. Justin Fields, not enough yet. A dynamic, but not enough yet. NFC South, nobody. I mean, there's Brady, but Brady is 45 years old. Like,
right.
you know, he's not a sustainable
right.
player. NFC West, put Geno over there. Because Geno's, you know what I mean? Jimmy G, no. Kyler, put him over there. And then Stafford, who's in real trouble.
Right.
There are only 8 quarterbacks that we know are good, with some question marks around the others. So even if you have all of those 8, which I wouldn't, better than Lamar, Lamar's going to get paid.
Somewhere.
You know what I mean? Nobody took even if you've, excuse me, I apologize. Even if you've been disappointed with how Lamar's played as of late, he is by any definition a top 10 quarterback.
Right.
With Stafford going in the wrong direction, Rodgers going in the wrong direction, Kyler going in the wrong direction, Russell Wilson going in the wrong direction, Derek Carr going in the wrong direction, Jimmy G staying in the same direction, right? So Geno, Jalen, and Tua are the 3 guys who prior to this year we wouldn't have said are very good, who have now elevated themselves to good. But we've had a half dozen guys go in the other direction. And there are certain guys that I didn't even mention that we now know we can just write off. We can just write off Mac Jones. We can just write off Zach Wilson. They're done. Trevor is a question mark for some. I like him, but we call him a question mark. We can write off Russell Wilson. He's done. We can write off, I know people get mad at this, you can write off Daniel Jones. He finally had to throw the football yesterday, and you saw what happened. So some of these, now you can, a guy who was starting to get written off, but is now moving in the right direction, is Justin Fields.
Yeah.
But, so when you have these young quarterbacks, so many of whom were like, oh, we don't know yet, and now they're out, and only one guy in Justin Fields like, oh, we didn't know, now he's in. So Lamar has helped himself, not by virtue of him being great, but him being fine.
Right, exactly.
And the rest of the league just going in the wrong direction. So I'll tell you right now, if you don't think, so there's 2 types of franchise tags, right? There's the exclusive franchise tag, which would be $45 million for Lamar next year and $55 million the year after, fully guaranteed each year, and then he'd be a true free agent. And then there's the non-exclusive franchise tag, which would be cheaper, but a team can forfeit its next 2 first-round picks and sign the player away from you. You don't think the New York Jets, if the Ravens put the non-exclusive tag on Lamar, would give Lamar the best contract any player's ever gotten in NFL history? You don't think they'd offer him 6 years, $300 million fully guaranteed? $50 million a year for 6 years, fully guaranteed. I do.
Yeah, you could change up some situations.
Right. And so that's why the Ravens didn't play this well. Because the market for him, even without him playing at a super high level the last 6 weeks, the market for him has gone up, not gone down. All right, next.
All right, we were pretty sure Josh McDaniels was the worst coach in football this week, but not to be outdone, Nat Hackett did a hell of a job blowing the game to Vegas.
Picks, my goodness.
Yeah, they both make Jeff Saturday look like Vince Lombardi. Which AFC train wreck is in a worse spot moving forward, Denver or Las Vegas?
Oh, it's not even close.
We already know the answer here. By the way, Broncos are 0-3 in overtime right now.
The answer is Denver, and it's
Gone
by a
overtime,
mile.
Yeah.
So some of these Denver stats are not to be believed.
Their record?
With DeMonte, they're 3-7. Okay.
Are the Raiders are also 3-7, right?
Yes.
Right.
But 2-0 against the Broncos.
Right.
The Raiders 1-7 against the NFL and 2-0 against the Broncos. The Denver Broncos at 3-7 would have the best record in the NFL if every game they scored 18 points.
Well,
If through regulation they had 18 points, they would have the best record in the league. 18 points would make you a bottom 5 scoring offense. And if they did that, they'd have the best record in the league. So Denver is out future picks, so they're going to give to Seattle potentially a top 5 pick. Yeah, like they also signed Russell to this absurd contract. I don't know that there is a team in the league except for possibly if Stafford's cooked, which I don't know that he is, the Rams could be in real bad shape. Donald could retire. They are also out future picks.
Right.
They gave Stafford a big deal. All the quarterbacks who got big deals, by the way. Russell got a deal prematurely. Disaster. Rodgers got a deal. Disaster. Kyler got a deal. Disaster. Stafford got a deal. Disaster. 4 quarterbacks got signed this offseason. But Denver, what do they have left? All right, they're at the Panthers this week.
They're all going to be games.
Then home for the Ravens. I'm sorry, at the Ravens, pardon me. Home for the Chiefs. Home for the Cardinals, home for the Rams, or at the Rams. At the Chiefs, home for the Chargers. So, Ravens, Chiefs, and that Chargers game, the Chargers probably, it's week 18. For them, it'll be they have to win to have a chance of making the playoffs. Those are 4. Can't see how they possibly win it. So Panthers, let's say they go undefeated, Panthers, Cardinals, Rams, which I don't think they will. That means they're 6-11. Their ceiling is 6-11. They have a real shot at being 4-13 and giving. They owe a first and a second round pick to Seattle. It's a disaster for them. A total.
It's also a disaster for their defense. I feel bad for those guys.
Best defense in the league.
Yeah. It's like the
every week
thing.
The defense holds the opponent to 16 or less.
Yeah.
And every week they lose. And by the way, this was not a second guess. This was a first guess. I'm going to tell you guys, if you weren't watching it, this was another Nat Hackett special at the end of this game, but Russell Wilson was a co-conspirator in this. So, was that the game? Yeah, that was the game. So, here's the situation. It's 3rd and 10. It's the 2-minute warning. The Raiders are out of timeouts. They're down 3 points. The ball is on the Denver 34. Okay? If you run the football, play takes 5 seconds, 40-second of play clock, punt the ball. You are punting the ball with the Raiders backed up, down 3, with 1:10 left and no timeouts against that defense of yours.
Right.
Instead, they call a pass play, a pass play, and where I say Russell Wilson's a co-conspirator, Russell Wilson.
You're talking about the incomplete pass where he was like running off to
Yes.
the sideline? Yeah.
Go down. Take the sack.
Right. Yeah.
If you don't have an easy completion there, take the sack, eat this 8 yards of loss, and take 40 seconds off the play clock. Instead, the Raiders get the ball, of course, with a minute 43 left. Would have been a minute 3. And they end up kicking the field goal with 16 seconds left. It's just terrible. Russ has to know better than that. In fact, I just thought about this. We were going to talk about the Eagles-Colts game briefly on the TV show today. I'm going to text them and say we have to talk about the Broncos. We have to talk about the Broncos. It's too much of a disaster to not talk about the Broncos. We'll do that next. Well, no, that's going to be on the TV show. I'm going to fix the NFL playoffs, and we're going to play another game. Nick makes it right plus a game next. What's right? All right, welcome back in. What's Right with Nick Wright. So it's episode 98. We'll get to your questions and your comments in the following segment. Also, by the way, I should just note here a few things. One is subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, do all those things. Also should note this week, because of Thanksgiving, we're going to do a gambling show middle of the week before the Thanksgiving games would be my guess, but it won't be a live show. And then we'll be back on with another live show on Monday. And the next week's schedule, somewhat in the air, and I'll be honest about why it's in the air. I'm going to Vegas. The plan is to do a regular schedule next week on Thursday, a live show on Thursday, and a gambling show on Friday. However, if I decide I want to go to Vegas a day early, we might adjust it. So right now, that's the idea. But that's the schedule the rest of the week. Well, you know what, DeMonte? I'll let you set this up because I took something out of the show to put this into the show because we haven't done this in a while, and I think it's a good idea. Go ahead.
All right, time for a segment of Nick Makes It Right.
Yeah.
Too many playoff teams, question mark. All right, you made us get rid of the Bills topic that was supposed to be here so you could talk about something to allegedly fix for the NFL playoffs that no one thinks that are broken.
Yeah.
So, time for an impromptu Nick Makes It Right, NFL playoff edition. Go ahead.
Okay. So, a couple years ago, the NFL added the 7th playoff teams.
Yep.
Which means it also eliminated a bye for the 2 seed in each conference. And we saw last year was a year it was like, well, do we need the 7th playoff teams? Because the 7th playoff team in the NFC last year was the Eagles. They got annihilated by the Bucks. And the 7th playoff team in the AFC was the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they got mortified by the Chiefs. So it's like, did we really need them? But then you have a year like this year where it's like, oh, I'm glad there's going to be a 7th playoff team because in the AFC, the Chargers, I believe, are a good team. They're ruined by the injury bug, and they have played 2 games against the Chiefs where they controlled the first half, and then the Chiefs ended up Chiefsing them and Mahomesing them. But those games go different. The Chargers all of a sudden are 7-3. And the Chiefs are 6-4. Like, you know what I mean? Right. It can switch real quick. The Bengals right now the Chargers, by the way, are the 9 seed in the AFC right now. So I like the fact that there's the extra playoff teams. In the NFC right now, the 7 seed is San Francisco. San Francisco might go to the Super Bowl. So I don't mind the 7 playoff seeds, the extra playoff seeds. Here's what I want to change. I do not think the final playoff spots, those 7 seeds, should be assigned per conference. I think the way it should work is the 7 seeds are the 2 best teams so you have 32 teams in the league. You have 12 that make the playoffs traditionally, right? Prior to this expansion. 4 division winners, top 2 wild cards in each conference, AFC and NFC. Of the other 20 teams, I think the 7 seed should be flatly the 13th and 14th team, even if they're both in the same conference. So, for instance, I think it is on the board that the Giants are about to go into a tailspin. Okay? That the Giants are going to go from 7-2 to 9-8. But that will be enough to make the playoffs in the NFC. But on the flip side, what if in the AFC you have the Bengals keep winning and then the Patriots, Jets, Chargers, one of them gets hot, gets to 10-7, but is not enough, you know what I mean, is not enough to make it in. So here's what I would do. Those 7 seeds are conference agnostic, and how we assign them is quite simply, since we have kind of damaged the 2 seeds' value because you don't get the bye, the 2 seed with the best record of the 2 seeds gets to pick which of the 2 7 seeds it's going to play. So you would have like the added extra spice of you're picking the opponent. You also would have potentially cross-conference matchups. It also would be super fascinating in this regard, which would be the Niners. I think people like them because the NFC is so weak. However, if the Niners knew, all right, we don't want to be the 7 seed here, guys, because we might get drafted over to the AFC side of the bracket. and be playing in round 1 in Buffalo or something like that, then you would have because the other problem with it the way it currently is you have a potential scenario where a 7 seed gets to rest players in the final week of the regular season. Like right now in the NFC, let's say the Giants don't fall off, that they stay there. Well, San Francisco's 5-4 with the teams trailing them is Washington, Atlanta, Detroit. Like, it's totally on the board that the Niners go into week 18 at 9-7, locked into the playoffs. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, we can sit guys.
Right.
You know what I mean? We can't improve our seed. Say Seattle's locked the division, and now you're giving the team that snuck into the playoffs its own bye week.
Right.
So I like the idea. Of course, I hate when I say that. Of course, I like the idea. It's literally my idea that I just came up with. Of course, I like the idea. But I think the 7th seeds being conference agnostic and simply being the 2 best teams that weren't one of the top 6 teams in each conference. And if that means we get 2 AFC teams or if that means we get 2 NFC teams, so be it. As a little added bonus, the 2 seed that has the best record gets to pick which of those 2 teams it wants to play. That's my solution.
I like it.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
That is a first cousin of my NBA playoff idea, which is because it's best of 7s. There's no buys. So, like, home court matters in the NBA. But the difference between being the 1 seed and the 4 seed, historic, like, it's not that big of an edge. The reason 1 seeds do so much better is not because of their path, but because they
At home.
well, they were the 1 seed because usually it means they were so much better than the 4 seed. But my argument for the NBA has always been you draft your playoff opponent. So after the play-in is done, you have teams 1 through 8 there, and the 1 seed looks at the conference and says who they want to play. They pick right then and there who they want to play. You have the added kind of bad blood of, oh, they disrespected us. Right. They picked us. I think it would be amazing television, amazing drama. I like the draft your playoff opponent in the NBA, so this would have an element of that, but really what it would allow for is it might not happen this year, but now that we've expanded the playoffs, there will be a year where a team, for instance, the Chargers, and maybe it will happen this year, is ravaged by injury, gets it together at the end of the year, gets to 9-8, misses the playoffs. Meanwhile, in the other conference, you have the 8-9 Atlanta Falcons that somehow make the playoffs. And we're like, wait, what?
Right.
So this team that actually could be good is staying at home, and this team is just going to be lambs for the slaughter. All right, now let's get to our game. What's the game?
We are playing Freak Out or Chill Out today.
Oh, cool.
Good news, the Eagles beat the Colts 17-16. Bad news, they only beat Jeff Saturday's Colts by 1. They've now had 2 bad games in a row. Should the Eagles freak out or chill out?
Freak out is too strong, but I certainly would not chill out. And
they got Green Bay next. I think that's like the ultimate test.
All right, so let's play it. Let's do this again, DeMonte. A little stealing from, Cousin Sal and Bill Simmons. Guess the lines. What do you think the line is? Let me give you the full scenario because I think that's a night game. I know it's on. Yeah, in fact, I know it's a night game.
Are the Eagles at home?
That's what I'm about to tell you. I'm going to get it exactly right. This game is Sunday Night Football in Philadelphia. The 4-7 Packers at the 9-1 Eagles. The line is what?
Eagles +5.
You mean minus?
I mean, yeah, I keep saying that.
Yeah.
Eagles -5.
Minus a full 7.
Damn.
So not a lot of respect for Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really.
And I do wonder, listen, the Eagles defense deserves a ton of respect. And the Colts, when Matt Ryan starts, are fine.
Yeah.
The Colts, when Matt Ryan starts, are not a horrific team. The 2 games they played with Ellinger, they looked like they were trying to give the season away. But prior to that, They obviously beat Kansas City. They had, they were in a lot of games. And then since then, they beat the Raiders last week. And this week, they were right there to the very end against Philadelphia. If I'm Philly, I'm not freaking out, but I am understanding that with how Dallas looked this past week, I don't have a lot of games to play with because they have, everyone's been like, oh, the Eagles are definitely going to be the 1 seed, and they're probably going to be the 1 seed. However, they still have to, the rest of the way, there is only one game the rest of the way that I will say, oh, that's easy. Home for the Packers is not easy, even though I expect them to win. Home for the Titans is a legit hard game. The Titans are as well coached as any team in football. At the Giants, it's a divisional game on the road. At the Bears they don't win, but eventually they'll win. They're interesting. Then at the Cowboys. So here's why I bring this up. If Dallas wins that game, they're a game back of Philly, and Philly has already given up a divisional game, earlier in the year against Washington. It could get interesting. Yeah. So I wouldn't freak out or chill out if I were Philadelphia, but I also feel resolute in my opinion that Philadelphia, while very good, I'm not ready to classify them as a great team despite a great record. Next.
All right, the Bengals took care of business. Feel free to roast your producers about Pittsburgh +4.
Yeah, that one sucked.
But
I had a tough week of picks. Go ahead.
But more importantly, they're only a game back from very shaky Baltimore. Should the Bengals freak out or chill out?
Well, listen, I don't think they're going to catch Baltimore. And I don't mean to make this a schedule show. But remember earlier when I said the Chiefs have the easiest remaining schedule? Well, the Ravens have the second easiest remaining schedule. The Ravens, here's who they play the rest of the year. Jags, Broncos, Steelers, Browns, Falcons, Steelers, Bengals week 18. And they've already beaten Cincinnati once. So if I'm the Ravens, if I'm Cincinnati, do I think I can play spoiler? Do I think I can go on a run similar to last year? Maybe. But do I believe if I'm them that I am going to that I'm realistically going to catch Baltimore? I don't think they're going to catch Baltimore. Next.
All right, the Giants, who you picked -3, were destroyed at home by the Lions. They're still in the playoffs for now, but they head to Dallas Thursday, then have Washington 2 times in 3 weeks. Plus, they lost 6 players due to injury yesterday. Should the Giants freak out or chill out?
Oh, they should freak out.
Yeah.
Maybe they've given themselves enough of a cushion, but that home game against Detroit is a crushing loss. And not being able to run the ball on Detroit is odd and concerning. And Saquon was not good. I mean, and you saw yesterday, and they lost another receiver to injury, Wan'Dale Robinson. They said this morning is torn ACL. You saw yesterday, for the first time in a while, it's like Daniel Jones, go make some plays, and he can't do it. He can't do it.
He was putting together some stuff there at the end.
He can't do it. DeMonte was not ready. They were down 18, immediately, and DeMonte was not ready to give up that the Giants were going to win. That was bad pick by me, bad job by me.
You just also never know what to expect from the Lions, man.
I know.
It's weird.
But the Lions haven't.
That wasn't a home game for them.
No, I know that it was. Listen, that was a shocking result for me. I picked the Giants -3, and they lost outright. Obviously, I'm shocked by it. It's not what I thought was going to happen. But to me, it was less about the Lions scoring 31 and more about how well their defense played. And the Lions, all of a sudden, by the way, won 3 in a row.
We got them next.
The Lions. Oh, we have them next.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, go ahead.
Speaking of the Lions, they are now on an NFC best 3-game win streak. They are frisky, and it seems like they're starting to put it together. Should the rest of the NFC freak out or chill out?
The rest of the NFC freak out or chill out?
Yeah.
I think the rest of the NFC can chill out. I don't think they have to worry about the Lions.
I mean, hey, man.
I don't mean to be rude to the producers, but I thought you misread that. And then I see it's a graphic. I'm going to say the NFC does not need to freak out about the Detroit Lions. Now, they had a good win against the Packers. The Packers and Bears wins were final seconds. The game was in the balance in the final seconds. The Giants game, they kicked their ass. Now, what I will say is this. Nothing would be more thrilling than Thanksgiving Day if they can beat the Bills.
Yeah.
That would be the best Lions win in forever. It would put them alive for that final wild card spot if they were to get to. I think that would put them 5-6.
I'd love to see them in the playoffs.
It would. Well, the playoffs I think is a tough putt, but if they could run this thing up to 4 games, and the Bills are in a weird spot because the Bills didn't play well this week, but they got the win. They're staying in Detroit though. It's kind of a weird situation. They went to Detroit, now they're staying there. Because they play on Thursday night. But no, I'm going to say the rest of the NFC can go ahead and chill out. All right, next.
The Jets almost broke their losing streak versus New England, but they only scored 3 points. Zach Wilson said he wasn't to blame, but Garrett Wilson said afterwards, we have to be better in the passing game. Is it Joe Flacco time? Should Zach Wilson freak out or chill out?
Oh, he should freak out.
That was a bad game.
Okay, he should freak out. He's the worst quarterback in football.
All right.
The worst quarterback in football. He was awful last year on a bad team.
Worse than Russell Wilson? Though?
Way worse than Russell Wilson.
They weren't even allowing my dude to throw.
No, they did let him throw. I got to give you Zach Wilson game log, okay? I mean, this is really bad.
He got sacked 12 times.
No, he got sacked 4 times. It's 12 in the 2 games combined against
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yesterday, he was 9 of 22 for 77 yards.
Yep.
The week before, the win, and that's coming off a bye. The win against Buffalo, he had 154 yards. The previous week, against by the way, it was Mac Jones and Zach Wilson combined were
12.
sacked. Yeah. The previous week, they played New England. He threw for 355. But he threw 3 egregious interceptions in that game. The week before that, he threw for 121. The week before that, he threw for 110. On the season, he's completing 55% of his passes. DeMonze, he has 4 touchdown passes on the year to 5 picks. He has a passer rating of 73. He also seems like a jerk. Also, did you see the story about him from before the season?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Not a good. Not good. So no, the Jets. The Jets are once again in the market for a quarterback, and here's the thing, I think the Jets are good.
Lamar?
Well, they'd love to get Lamar. They're probably going to end up settling on Jimmy, but the Jets are good, and that their best running back got hurt a few weeks ago. They have a good running game even without him. Yesterday, obviously, I mean, they had 2 yards off in the second half. That defense is excellent. Salah's great at it, but they need a quarterback. And they're going to win too many games to... Can you imagine? I mean, the Jets might make the playoffs. Can you imagine Zach Wilson in a playoff game? I might take out a home equity loan to bet against Zach Wilson in a playoff game. So, yeah, they should...
probably knows that too.
They should freak out. They should absolutely, unequivocally freak out. We answer your questions next. What's right? All right, welcome back in episode 98. What's right with Nick Wright? So Monday, since we're only doing one other show this week because of Thanksgiving, Monday will be our 100th show. How about that, DeMonte? Yep. We're not going to quite get to 100,000 subscribers by Monday, but we're going to get to 100 shows. It'd be great if we get to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the football season. DeMonte gets a $1,000 bonus there. All right, quickly. Are you ready to promote the Twitch stream yet, or are we waiting?
Yeah, Dusty made me look like a fool. I should have just tweeted the freaking link, but I tweeted out in all caps.
Okay.
And I was doing something. I feel like
okay, nobody knows who Dusty is, so let me just tell the audience. Dusty is one of the producers and former stats producer and now segment producer for the TV show. He's also a big-time gamer. DeMonte and I also helped Dusty move into his apartment. I'm not sure how that works. Listen, I'm not saying I'm the best sports television personality in America. I mean, Cowherd and Shannon exist, so it's hard for me to say I'm the best. I will say I'm the only one that in the last 12 months I have helped one of my producers carry boxes into their apartment. But go ahead. So what did Dusty do?
I tweeted out in words, and I attached the handle. I said, this is the handle, And then Dusty was just like, just tweet out the link, you idiot.
Yeah.
He was like, I'll just do it for you myself. And now I just tweeted the link.
Okay, so if you want to, what's the name of the stream?
Right upside down.
Right upside down.
Yeah.
Right with a W or no?
No, right with a R.
Okay, right upside down.
Yeah, just like the analogs on the left side, the up, right,
yeah,
like
I got it.
Up, right.
Yeah, I like it. It's a good name.
Wait.
So
up, right.
Okay, don't worry about
upside
that. You're
down.
fine. That's right
upside down. Yeah, I almost forgot my own handle.
Yeah,
it's only
right upside down is if you guys want to watch DeMonte get kills on Call of Duty. Here's the thing. I'm going to need you. I don't, you're a grown man, but we're using this platform to promote that. So I'm going to need a request, okay? You're going to have to minorly, like PG-13 the language for the Call of Duty stream. Every once in a while, I'm up in my room getting ready to fall asleep, and I think there's been a break-in because DeMonte is shouting at somebody about Call of Duty. But so right upside down is the Twitch stream. Right. You're going to get that going. We're going to try to get those subscriber numbers up big before you move out to LA in a couple months. All right. Before we get to the listener questions and comments, the producer said they wanted us to do something here special.
Yes, Thanksgiving plans. Or is that not the special?
Yeah,
thing?
no, that's what I guess. What do they want you to ask?
So we've got 3 questions here. We got game you're most excited about.
Give me all the questions.
All right, game you're most excited about. Top 3 Thanksgiving dishes and foods, and how many plates do you eat?
Okay. I'm excited for all the games, and I'm not answering the other questions because that is the most banal, cliche, stupid sports media thing that everyone feels like they have to do. Do you like the green bean casserole? Oh, are you sweet potato pie or pumpkin pie? Nobody gives a shit. Sorry. Nobody cares. Everybody likes Thanksgiving. Everybody eats food. We all watch football. We all either tolerate or really enjoy our relatives.
Most excited about maybe.
I'm excited about. It's actually good games. All 3 games are good games. Because we already talked about Bills Lions. That's an interesting game. The Lions keep it close. Giants Cowboys, legit, really good, important game.
Right.
And then Vikings Patriots at the end of the day. Those are 2 potential playoff teams. So they're all good games. But I just don't understand how my whole life in sports media, people really think, like, it's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. You know what? The audience is tuning in to hear us talk about why turkey is overrated. Oh, you never eat it when it's not Thanksgiving. Why do you eat it on Thanksgiving? Oh, anything you have to slather in gravy must not be that good. Are you a ham? Do you like ham? You like apple pie? Or are you more of a lemon meringue? Shut up. And it's such bad content. It's so bad. And everyone in the industry does it. Here's the thing. It's a weird thing about media people. Because it's not just sports media. You turn on your local Chuckle Hour News. The morning news show, the kind of lighter, they're not wearing ties, shirts, the top buttons unbuttoned. And it's like, hey, Sandy, what do you got planned for Thanksgiving? It's like, oh, Tom,
For a guy that hates this subject, we are sure spending a long time
it's
on
a different. I'm not telling you about what I want to eat. I'm telling you about how bad this content is. So when you invariably consume it over the next 96 hours, when you turn in every podcast and 13 minutes in before they've said anything about what the topic is, they're still talking about how their mom made the greatest authentic cranberry sauce. And, oh, you like authentic? I like it straight out of the can, Jerry. Let me tell you, I like it when it has the ridges from the can and you slice it down. Nobody cares. And everybody does it. And it's so bad. Let's get to the listener questions.
All right, well, I know what to talk about on my first stream. Wiki C2 says about your playoff proposal. The better conference already has the toughest road. With this change, it would be even harder in the better conference.
Well, that's an interesting point you make there, sir. I'm not sure. I got to think about that. I'm not sure that it necessarily would, because if the better conference has the better 2 seed, then that team can draft over a team from the worst conference. Maybe that's, I don't know. I got to think more about that. You make a decent point. I just know that for the 7 seed, I would like it to be the 2 best available teams, not assigned to the conference. But you make a potentially good point that I got to think about more. Next.
All right, Charlie Ruby says, Nick, you just need to stop betting on the Bears. Fields has been tremendous, but our offensive line is the worst pass blocking line in the league, and our defense can't pressure anybody.
Hold on. I don't think I lost the Bears bet this week. What, the Bears lost by 3, didn't they? They lost by yeah, it's a push. I don't need to stop. Yeah, a push is fine. That means there was no way to pick a winner there. The push was fine. And we'll talk about it on the gambling show.
Charlie Ruby doesn't count pushes.
Okay, well.
Only dubs.
Okay, well, that's fine. And listen, I do have a bad record this year on betting on, like, the Raiders, the Bears, and the Jags. Like, I put a lot of my hard-earned money on teams with bad records. All right, next.
Yeah, Christian Law says Nick's going to be a great grumpy old man.
By the way,
he's going in a home.
That's a great movie, DeMonte, from my childhood.
What? It's a movie called
Grumpy Old Men.
Okay.
They even made a sequel that was pretty good. Jack Lemmon and the other guy, I forgot his name. I watched that. That's like when before my parents split up, when we would do like family stuff together. Like I have like a very, very happy, great family memory of Thanksgiving, Christmas time going to see Grumpy Old Men. I think you'd like it.
Yeah, it's kind of I feel like I've heard of it before. I think maybe it doesn't hold up well. I bet it does. I actually bet there are some jokes in there that these days like would get you canceled. Right.
But that's a good movie. All right, next.
Bobby asks, will DeMonte be returning to the gambling picks next week? Hey, man, not coming back without a dub. I will tell you what I bet on the weekend come the next gambling show, but I have not had anything that I would be comfortable putting on the show.
DeMonte's not doing great. DeMonte's now.
Yesterday, my best picks were the Bengals and the Commanders. So I feel like
that's good. But you paired it with 5 bad ones in your weekly 7-teamer. But luckily, my
first one was a $5 free bet, and then my second one was $10.
Yeah, he's doing good on not pressing for a lot of money. All right, next.
Wiki 2 says, question for DeMonte: how big was the goat? The goat that ate half your jeans. All right, man.
I actually think this is a good look. I like those jeans.
Yeah, man.
And then there was one other NBA question about Ben Simmons.
What are you wearing, Wiki 2?
And will he be guarding Ben Simmons or Embiid? Shout out to Ben Simmons, by the way. Played really well yesterday.
20 points.
Yeah,
season high.
He's had a season best game 3 games in a row. It's gotten better each time. We mentioned Clay off the top. All right, this was a really good show. I got to get to the TV show and brag about the Chiefs for about 90 minutes. U.S. 2-0 over Wales is my pick. You can get that 12-1 right now. Also, you can still get Argentina and Brazil parlayed to win their groups at even money. I gave that out. Oh, and I gave out, I don't know if you can still get this one or not, but the one other World Cup gambling pick that I really liked. I think you can still get it. I'm not certain, though, since the groups have started, but let's just assume you could. I got this at 8.5 to 1. These 5 teams to all advance. Denmark, Croatia, Mexico, the U.S., and Uruguay. That's plus 860. And then Brazil and Argentina both to win their groups. That's even money. All right. Great show, DeMonze. Great job to our producers in L.A. I will talk to everybody Wednesday-ish with our gambling show for Week 12 in the NFL. What's right? Hey, it's Nick Wright. Thank you so much for watching. Please do us a favor. Click subscribe. It helps my ego, and DeMonze's got a financial bonus writing on a number of YouTube subscribers, so help him out. And also, click the bell. I don't know what the bell does, but they tell me to tell you to click the bell. And your audio listeners, people that have commutes, drives, whatever it is, subscribe to the podcast as well, wherever you get the podcast. Same show, just in your ears instead of through your eyes. All that, check it out. Appreciate y'all.